Elizabeth and I have not traveled much in this past year, obviously because of COVID and all that. But we generally travel quite a bit. And when we do, I always like to find a Denny's restaurant for breakfast, because they have some breakfast, what they call skillets, sizzling skillets, that I really love. It's served on a sizzling hot cast iron pan, and they have a variety of different ones, but they're all basically served on a bed of home fries with a bunch of different stuff piled on top of it. I particularly like the one that they call the Southwest Sizzling Skillet. So I'm going to make my own Southwest Sizzling Skillet here in my home for breakfast.
Here we go.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill with Live Simple, Live Free, and I was thinking about this breakfast the other day and really missing it. I haven't had it in quite a while because we haven't traveled. And I was thinking about it and realized, I can do that at home. It won't be exactly the same, but it'll be similar. And then I realized, as I thought about it a little bit more, that I could do this 100% with Thrive Life freeze-dried food. And that made me really excited because, we use our Thrive on a regular basis in our daily cooking, so I can just go ahead and make this for myself for breakfast. But it also means that no matter what's happening in the world and no matter what food is available and whatever, I've got everything that I need in my pantry, long-term pantry with Thrive Life, to be able to make this breakfast for myself every single morning, and that's really exciting. Elizabeth is not here right now, so I'll just be making this for myself. Now, Thrive has two different kinds of potatoes. They have what they call the potato dices, which are freeze-dried, and they work really well. They refresh in just a couple of minutes. They work great in soups and casseroles and things like that. They also have what they call potato chunks. Now, these are not freeze-dried. They are dehydrated, and they're actually the ones that I prefer. Here you go, the potato chunks right here. And these are the ones that I actually prefer because though they take a little longer to refresh because they're dehydrated, they're actually a little bit more substantial. So if you're going to make fried potatoes for breakfast in the morning, the potato dices, if you try to turn them, they'll kind of break up and mash up. Good to make mashed potatoes. But the potato chunks actually hold together better if you fry them when you flip them with a spatula and stuff. But potato chunks take a lot longer to refresh. So now remember that these are raw before they're dehydrated. So you actually have to cook them. So what I do is I just put them in a pan and cook them on the stove, boil them, and it refreshes them and cooks them at the same time. And it takes about maybe 15 or 20 minutes to get these. You just got to keep cooking them until they're soft. So these take a little bit longer than the diced, but I actually prefer them. It's just a matter of personal choice. Now, freeze-dried food for the most part does not really swell when you refresh it, but the dehydrated does. So this is the dehydrated potatoes, and these are actually going to swell to probably about twice the size they are here. So you just have to be aware of that. So I'll just put them in there and then I'll put some water on it. So now I put some water on here. I actually need a fair amount because, like I said, they do swell. Turn this on. This is actually the most time-consuming part of this breakfast. Everything else goes very quickly. Only takes a couple minutes to refresh everything else. So I'm just going to put that on and let it come to a boil, turn it down a little bit, and simmer it for maybe 15 minutes or so until the potatoes are completely soft and completely done cooking. So while the potatoes are cooking, I'm going to go ahead and refresh the other ingredients that I need. Everything else only takes about 2 or 3 minutes in water to refresh, but I'm going to go ahead and get them in there. I put them all in one bowl and refresh them all at the same time. So these are things that will be mixed in with the potatoes when I fry them after I boil them, then I'll fry them. This is onion slices. I've never had to cry over an onion since I started Thrive. This stuff is really great. Don't have to worry about cleaning and slicing and all that. Red bell peppers. Same thing, it's all cleaned and cut up for you. Mushrooms. I love mushrooms. The mushrooms go slimy in the fridge in about 2 or 3 days if you don't use them. These never go bad. Oh, they smell so good. Mushrooms. And then this is their green chili peppers, which I really love. They're not real hot, but they add a lot of flavor. So, I like a lot of chili peppers. And I'm just going to put some water on them and let them sit for a few minutes. And just make sure they all get submerged in the water. By the time my potatoes are ready to go, so will these be ready. Now, Thrive Life is amazingly clean food. There's absolutely nothing in it except the food that's there. It's all non-GMO. There's no preservatives. There's no chemicals of any kind. No MSG. No salt added except for a couple of the meats that have salt for seasoning. But everything else, there's no salt added. There's no carbs added. Nothing like that. And so it's very healthy food. And as far as storage, a can unopened will stay on the shelf for 25 years. And with only a few exceptions, once you open the can, then you have a 1-year shelf life. And that depends a lot on the humidity of where you live and what the product is. Some of the products are kind of like succulent, and they absorb the humidity from the air, and they might not last a year if you live in Florida or something like that. But they'll last forever in Arizona. Now these are the green chili peppers, and I had this open can and I didn't realize that it was in the back, and I just found it and discovered that it was open. I always put the date when I open it. I opened this in July of 2019, and here it is of March of 2021. So it's approaching 2 years. 2 years and 8 months, 9 months, whatever that is. Now these are a little bit darker in color, but they have not absorbed any moisture, and they're still perfectly fine to use. In fact, that's what I'm using in this breakfast this morning. So it really depends on which product it is, how susceptible it is to absorb the moisture in the humidity in the air, and how humid it is where you live as to how long it will last after you open it. But for the most part, we've lived in pretty much humid areas, and we've just had no problems with them lasting a year. Okay, so the potatoes are ready. I cooked them till they were soft, maybe 20 minutes or so. And I'm just going to strain them. I'll let them sit there and let the water drain out. Since we started using Thrive, we actually have quite a few of these strainers because we use them a lot more than we used to. This is all of my vegetables that have also refreshed. So I'm going to pour those in there and let them drain a little bit more. So now I've got my pan hot with some oil in there, and these are thoroughly drained. So I'm going to go ahead and fry them up. Now sometimes I like to take fresh eggs and I make eggs over easy. And I'll put 2 or 3 over easy eggs on top of the dish when I'm finished with it. But I'm making this today with 100% Thrive food, and Thrive has this wonderful scrambled egg mix. No, they don't have freeze-dried eggs over easy. Can't do that. But this egg mix is really wonderful. You can make scrambled eggs out of it and omelets, and you can use it for baking and things like that. And it doesn't even taste like powdered eggs in any way. It's the most amazing eggs that I've ever seen along these lines. In the directions on the back, it says that you use 2 tablespoons of the powder with 3 tablespoons of water to make 1 egg. I'm going to put 4 eggs on here. That comes out to a half a cup of the powder and 3/4 of a cup of water. So there's a half a cup of the egg powder. And 3/4 of a cup of water. Then you just stir it up. Look at that. Looks just like scrambled eggs. Imagine that. Now the potatoes were already cooked. The purpose of the pan is to brown them. And they're getting fairly well brown. That takes a little bit of time. The vegetables cook very quickly. So now I'm just going to pour in the vegetables that I've already rehydrated and mix them in. And I mostly just leave the vegetables in there long enough for them to get kind of seared and warmed up a little bit. So now the potatoes and veggies are ready to go. Now if I was going to make a real sizzling skillet like Denny's does, I would have kept that in the cast iron pan. But I'm going to go ahead and put mine on a plate. So now the pan is still hot from the potatoes. I'm just going to add a little bit more oil. And then pour in the scrambled egg mix. There we go. Ready to go. Now, like I said, this could have just as easily been done with fresh eggs over easy. I like it both ways. But here's with the Thrive Life scrambled. And then I'm going to add some salsa on top. This is Pace chunky salsa. And then, of course, cheese. You can't have this without the cheese. This is freeze-dried Colby Jack shredded cheese. I've already rehydrated it. This works very well, and it takes much less water than you think. Look on the package, on the can, to make sure you do it right, because if you put too much water in, I'll be honest, this turns into cheese soup. You don't want that. So I think it only takes 3 tablespoons of water per cup, which is amazing, and then you have to let it sit for about an hour. Once it rehydrates, it's real cheese. I mean, it'll melt. If I'd put this in a microwave for a minute, it would melt all over the top. And you can also use the cheese dry. Just sprinkle it on top of salads and sprinkle it into soups and things like that. But there we go. Now you may notice if you go on the Thrive Life website right now that they are out of stock for many of the pantry cans. And a lot of people have asked me why this is. And you know, the virus is affecting all kinds of things in our supply line. And right now, for Thrive, the issue is not the food. They have the food. The issue is the aluminum that they use for the lids in the cans, pantry cans. There's a severe nationwide shortage of aluminum right now, and they haven't been able to get the aluminum that they need to make the cans. So I am told that they have just received in a shipment of aluminum and that they're getting on it really hard right now to start to produce the pantry cans and hopefully get those all back in stock. So this is March of 2021. Hopefully this is a short-term problem that won't, or that will right itself pretty quickly. So go onto the website and just see what they have available, and come back a week later and you'll probably see a lot more. But there's also, most of the family cans are in stock, so you can buy the family cans. Those are the larger ones. This is one of my favorite go-to breakfasts. And it's really fairly easy to make. And you know, of course, you can make it with fresh stuff. But if you do, you're going to have to make sure that you get to the store and get all the fresh vegetables that you need. The onions and the bell peppers and the chili peppers. And then you have to dice them all up. The cool thing about Thrive is we've got all that stuff right there in our pantry. And it lasts a year after I open it. So I've always got the things that I need to be able to make this breakfast anytime. I never have to, as long as I, of course, keep my Thrive pantry stocked, I never have to worry about running out. And you know, with everything going on in the world today, it's just a good idea to have some extra food stocked up. And Thrive is a wonderful way to do that. Also, if you're looking for a home business, it's a great business to be in as well. You can help your friends be stocked and ready to go and help them to be able to eat convenient and delicious food. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Live simple, live free. Jackie and Joe say, we incorporate Thrive into our daily cooking, and it is great tasting and full of nutrition. T. Paulus says, my husband and I order Thrive through you, and we have only positive things to say about customer service and the quality of the food. And Pamela Hutzel says, so cool, I love their products.